Feeling stuck inside, needing to rock? Feed your soul at the air drum party.
You know you're an air drummer. Come out of the closet. I did.
I find myself sitting there and air drumming along to all my favorite records.
Totally relates to the air drumming thing. I would make these wonderful drum sets out of magazines and then beat the covers off.
Right now, Adventures of Power, the cult movie about air drumming, is teaming up to raise money for musicians in need and to rock your pants off.
Music is not about having arms. Music is about having spirit.
With a free online watch party where you can chat with the cast, comedians, and celebrity drummers. Who knows who might stop by? Save the world. Feel the rock. Be the power. Come to airdrummer.com.
We want to see you
rock.
You can do it.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Do it now!
Hi, everybody. I'm going to turn my phone volume down so we don't have an echo. Hopefully that works. So, hello, Dave. As some of you know, my name's Ari Gold. I directed the movie Adventures of Power, which is about air drumming. Neil Peart is in it. And, you know, it's a big extravaganza about the absurdity of not having drums. And I'm here with Dave Lombardo, who not only has drums, there's an echo, apparently. Okay.
I got it. It was me.
Oh, okay. And I'm so honored to be talking with someone who, as I said yesterday, I feel a little bit like Mike Patton must have felt when his high school demo was turned into, you know, a completely insane and heavy record last year, right before lockdown. But it's an incredible honor to be with you, Dave, and to get an opportunity to talk about drumming and air drumming and all the different projects you've been involved in and the way you've been such an influence on several generations of drummers and musicians. So nice to meet you.
Likewise, I'm honored to be sitting here with the master air drummer. Yeah.
I am in the Guinness Book. It's my claim to fame in life. I'm in the Guinness Book for air drumming. Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about how, you know, what I wanted to talk about with you. And one of the things that's so beautiful about your drumming is you seem to go into another state of like when you're drumming, first of all, watching you, I feel like I'm watching a camera that's sped up. Like it doesn't seem possible.
Well,
but yeah, but you have a total relaxation in your core, and then your limbs are doing something insane. And I'd love to, you know, just ask you if you can describe, if you can, as poetically or unpoetically as you like, the state of being that you get into when you're drumming.
Well, the way I've experienced it is I would connect it with like or compare it to a runner or an athlete that or even a boxer that is psyched before a show. You know, you get into this mode, the adrenaline starts pumping through your body. You know, your heart rate jumps several BPMs before you even start playing. When I'm sitting at a hotel room, you know, several hours before, I'm already, my adrenaline's already kicked in and I'm going through the parts and, you know, everything is just getting ready for that moment on stage. I think that mental state that I get into is it has to be the endorphins or, you know, obviously it has to be the endorphins, the adrenaline, and it just puts me in this zone. And like I mentioned, a boxer, when you have the, like in the Rocky movie where it says, you know, you got the eye of the tiger, you know, you're like, you're there, you're ready to go, you're focused. And that seems to where I go, but it seems like it happens naturally. It's like I'm just there. And I've only realized that recently in my career, recently within the past 15 years, you know. So that I've realized, you know, this thing that happens, and it's euphoric for me. It's a musical place where I'm addicted to it. I've noticed during this pandemic that it's the one thing that I miss the most. Everybody, you know, yeah, you could play drums, you know, in your studio, your room, your garage, and listen to music, but nothing is like being on stage and feeling the heat of the lights, connecting with the drums, the power of the speakers, resonating behind you, your monitors, you know, the echo in the studio, or I'm sorry, the venue, you know.
Right.
Just everything is just like it all comes together at that moment, and it's almost an explosion. And the end of the night, it takes time to come down from that musical high, and you just you embrace it and you love it. And
yeah, I mean, as far as addictions go, you know, it keeps you in shape, and you know, the release of Adventures of Power supports music cares, and so we're trying to help people who deal with addictions that aren't so healthy. But it's, you know, the way you describe being on stage is, you know, it seems like a wonderful place to be. I think runners get that. I get that surfing in my own way. And it's anything that brings you to an extreme state of presence. You know, I was actually in Cuba, and I know, you know, you're Cuban, although you left when you're 2 years old, but I know you still feel emotionally connected to that country. And I was in Havana, and I passed, there was like a ground floor apartment where like the kitchen was like basically almost in the street. And there was a guy in his underwear. It was like a really hot night, in his underwear with timbales, like jamming, like going crazy on the timbales to and the television was playing some like Cuban band, and he was playing along with it. And his wife was sitting in a folding chair, just kind of like fanning herself and nodding. And like, that was his version of getting in the zone, is, you know, jamming on the timbales in his underwear. And you know, we all have our own way of doing that. You happen to be, you know, a drum king, and you do it in front of many thousands of people, but some people do it in front of their wife and a folding chair. But you performing is performing.
That to me would be as exhilarating, as exciting. If that was, because I'll never forget being a kid in my room with my drum set in the corner in the bed, you know, and then I have my stereo in another corner and a little dresser, and cranking up my stereo and playing along. And the feeling I have on stage, I was feeling that as a kid in the room.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, I've always asked, because of, I made a movie about air drummers, and Neil Peart and I, of course, talked about air drumming before he did the movie. And he said that, yeah, he was playing magazines on his bed. He had laid out a bunch of different magazines on different pillows, and he would beat them until the covers fell off. And what'd you say?
I did that with books.
With books?
Different thicknesses of books. I would lay them out and
to create different tones?
In tones, yeah.
Did you set up, because of your famous double bass drumming, did you set up books on the floor too to create different tones? No, you hadn't invented that yet.
I was only a single bass drummer at the time.
Okay. Well, you had to start somewhere. You're going to move to triple feet soon enough. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be you. Although, you know, have you seen Terry Bozzio's drum set?
Oh God, yes.
He has like all the notes of the scale in bass drums, so he can go in a circle and play, you know, C sharp, D sharp, E, you know, in a circle. That's crazy.
Yeah. I heard he could perform a Miles Davis song on his drum set, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
So I mean, obviously a lot of people think of you because of, your pioneering thrash metal, but you play with John Zorn, you play with Fred Frith, you play with a lot of really interesting experimental. I mean, and obviously Mike Patton is also in that kind of nether world between like hardcore and almost intellectual experimental music. Do you what do you I mean, like I said, I can't say what you prefer because you love playing, but like how does one nurture the other, I guess would be a way to phrase it.
Where, let's say a band like Suicidal or Misfits or any, like a metal band or a rock band that I would play with, where you play a set list consistently every night, except for Phantomus, Patton would change the set around every night. We'd have a set for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all different set lists. Mm-hmm. And he said, let's say it's Saturday, and he'll say, let's do Tuesday. So it'd be the Tuesday set list. Uh-huh. So he would flip it around, which would make it really exciting. But where a band, a regular band, would play the same set list every night, a band like working with Zorn or Bill Laswell, and performing like the avant-garde improvisation style of music, I look at that as being a cleansing almost, mm-hmm. from the constant same set list every single night. Right. So when I interject like one of those shows, 2 or 3 times a year, an improvisation show, I would feel like it's a cleansing. It's kind of reset button for me for drumming. So then when I go back to the normal, set list band that I would play in, whether it's Misfits, Suicidal, or even Dead Cross, it would become more fresh.
Right.
It'll be. I would bring in some ideas from the performance, from an improv performance. I would bring it in to the to a live show, like for example, the more structured set list.
So when you play, if you've played with Zorn and refreshed yourself, and then you go to do a Suicidal Tendencies mini tour, where especially when you're playing music that other drummers laid down tracks in the studio decades ago, how much can you bring your fresh spirit, your improvisation into that, or how do you find that middle ground between being Dave Lombardo, which obviously a lot of fans will be like, oh, this band just got 3 times as good and he's blowing everyone it's out of the water, and there's some like weird flack, but you also want to respect the original recording. So how can you be yourself in that?
There's always a little section, a little part in the song. Let's say it could be a drum roll, it could be a little bell hit in between a break, just something to show your personality, just like a little spurt, just a little pizzazz, a sprinkle of salt, a little pepper, a little garlic, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's how you do it, but you still keep the respect of the original recording. Right. In my situation with the Misfits, where the songs, have a very structured sound or a very structured songwriting style, there's really not much room, mm-hmm. but where I will add my stamp, would be like the Dave Lombardo stamp would be in uh, uh, in the beat, in the rhythm. You know, you just make sure
Right.
that that's driving every time, that it's
Right.
just on point. You know, every change, every cymbal hit.
Yeah, I mean, your hi-hat work is obviously a big part of what makes you special, and the way you're able to be incredibly fast and at the same time in a pocket, which is not something a lot of people know how to do. So
It's that wrist, you know.
yeah. So um, and that makes sense. And then occasionally a fill, you can be Dave, even though it's an older track. I mean, your fills are so interesting too. Like I've heard some people describe them as like feeling like they're running backwards. Um, is that something that you learned? I mean, is that did Bill Ward influence you at all with that? Because I feel a little like flavor of early Sabbath in some of that kind of architecture of a fill.
I absorbed so much in my in the early years of my drumming that Bill Ward definitely was an influence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second? Can you turn down the volume on your phone? Because I think your phone and your iPad might be feeding back to each other.
The phone is off.
Oh, the phone volume is off?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. You know, no one's going to die. There's a little echo, but people will survive.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like we're in a stadium.
I hear it. Yeah.
It's okay.
It bothers me.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt you. Bill Ward, sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah. There had to have been somewhere along the line that his style influenced me. I don't know particularly where. I remember purchasing the album Paranoid and listening to that album consistently through my high school years, my early, let's say 9th, 10th grade. And then, so that would have been probably 75, 76.
That would have been like when that kind of metal was even at, you know, so you would have been slightly scared of that metal and intrigued by it at that age as you were to be a kid.
I love
it. Like, the speaker is like melting into the carpet and it's going to go down all the way to hell.
Yeah. I remember
so heavy.
I remember one time visiting a friend in high school, visiting his house, and he played We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll, a Led Zeppelin album, double album. And he had banked in his bedroom, and his mom would bang on the door. That's the devil's music. And I'm like, whoa, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, in Adventures of Power, there's the girl that my air drummer character falls in love with is deaf, and you find out she's lost her hearing at a rock concert, and her mother is a hardcore Christian and accuses her of dancing to devil's music when she sees me air drumming to Hellbent for Leather by Judas Priest. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was a real thing. I mean, I have to say, when I was a kid, I was a little scared of Slayer. I was a little scared, and that fear is part of what, like, when you're an adolescent, that fear is what becomes the attraction.
Yeah.
You know, like a horror film or whatever. It's a, I mean, how much as a drummer, like, and not just, you know, back then, but like now working with Patton, and how much do you think about the lyrics that are going with your drumming? Does it cross your mind, or is it influence what you play, or not really?
Not really. It does sometimes, depending on the line and where it falls in the song. It'll gravitate, you know, it'll lift the song for me a little bit. Maybe I'll hit the drums a little harder because it's saying this particular line, whatever it may be. And it'll drive me a little bit more to be a little more aggressive, you know, whatever the line could be, you know. It sometimes does, yes, definitely boosts the drumming sometimes.
Right. I mean, I can imagine it'd be more like in a little break when the singer screams something, and you use that as your like motivator to come back in on the one or whatever, you know. But do you ever write lyrics?
No.
Never
No.
tried? I mean, you do art. I know you've done visual art, so you're branching out. I think maybe
Yeah, visual art.
you're an articulate guy. Maybe it's time to like force one of your bands to like put some Lombardo lyrics in there.
Yeah, I kind of stay away from that. I focus more on the the structure, the composition. Music, make sure it flows, and musically for me, that's my forte. That's where I like to dabble.
Yeah, yeah. So wait, when you are you doing any visual art these days, or is that like a thing you did as a I don't know at one point?
No, I just did that Rhythm Mysterium, which was through Scene 4, where we photographed. They photographed me with these sticks that had lights in them, and something with the exposure of the camera. I'm not too sure how they did it, but then I went in.
Let's be honest. It was kind of a Burning Man art style. I know that's not necessarily your scene. Flying sticks of light. Have you been to Burning Man?
No, I haven't, but I'm a mean DJ, man.
Oh yeah. So okay, so your DJ set. What's gonna be in your DJ set?
God, I
don't want to put you on the line, but
you can't even imagine what my iPod, or was once my iPod, now my iTunes consists of. So it varies from many different genres.
Mm-hmm.
So,
is there a genre that you will not listen to or play? And Willie Nelson doesn't count as country. That's its own category.
Country always comes up,
Well, it does because, like
the old school country, which is the Willie Nelsons, the Johnny Cash,
Waylon
Jennings. God, there's so many. The classic guys,
Yeah.
Those guys are great.
The dirty ones.
The newer country, I can't get into.
Yeah, I have trouble with it too. So, so a band like Dead Cross, and then mixing that with Mr. Bungle, so you have like a couple Patton experiences. What sides of your personality get to play out in these different acts that you're in now? Like, do you guys put on different hats in those different outfits?
I'm sorry, what?
You guys put on like different personalities when you're playing in those bands? Or is there like a power dynamic shift?
Dead Cross, obviously the Mr. Bungle music was written, before, I was ever in the band. So there was, a set song structure. So I just gave it my personality and my spirit.
Right.
With Dead Cross, it's a little more personal. Dead Cross has more of my creativity. When we write the songs, it's usually the guitar player and I. We go into the studio and we improvise, and we just get creative and try to find the most brutal drum rhythms and guitar, chords and structures that we can, and we record those and kind of piece them all together and create these little bodies of work. So I believe Dead Cross would have more of my, my personality or my spirit.
Right. For now. I mean, because you're a full cranking member of Mr. Bungle now, so you can next recording, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the craziness of sort of the flavor of that feels like it would be fun to, because anything goes as long as it's fucking insane, right?
Yeah. And Mr. Bungle, it's amazing because those songs were influenced by Anthrax and Slayer, and so I could relate to that body of work, and it connects, it resonates, with myself.
By the way, we might need to change the subject to suicidal because Rod Diaz is in the chat saying hi.
Hey, Rob, he just got the gig with Korn.
I know, and I interviewed Ray. So Ra, if you're out there listening, you have to like poke Ray in the nose for me. But that's awesome that you'll be out with Korn.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, he can't. I can't hear what he's saying back, but I'm sure he can hear us. So hi there, Ra. You are raw and raw.
Raw.
I'd love to know if you have advice for drummers or musicians, because obviously a lot of people watching right now are, admirers of yours and aspiring to be great. And what do you have any anything you've learned that you could share with people?
Well, I've been, my career has gone up and down, and I'm not on the merry-go-round. I'm on the roller coaster. So it's a bit exciting, Not saying the merry-go-round isn't, but I find the roller coaster a lot more exciting because you go through a lot of experiences that if you were in a band for the same band for many years, you don't get to experience the low points. And some of those low points are difficult sometimes, but they also, it creates character, and, it thickens your skin, so you can go through anything. So my advice is, through my career and everything I've experienced, is to never, to always be happy playing music at whatever level you're at.
Mm-hmm.
I've, when I left Slayer in 2013, I found myself going from huge stages, huge crowds, to playing with another band that I had at the time, in front of small clubs. And so I did that for several years, and then slowly got back up, suicidal. Then I got into the Misfits. I created Dead Cross, now in Mr. Bungle. So it doesn't matter where you play, even if you're air drumming in your room, even if you don't have a drum set, as long as you're playing and feeling that music, that is, I feel, the most important element in being happy as a musician. You have to be content with what life is giving you at the time. And for me, like I said, I've gone through it.
Yeah.
Some people, you play in Slayer.
Yeah, and some people hit that bottom and they don't do what you did, which is you keep playing. And if you're playing for a small club after playing a giant arena, and that's why there's so many people who love you, is because you're not just an amazing drummer, but you're actually a testament. And that's could be a testament reference, but no, you're a testament to resilience. Yeah, I mean, the Adventures of Power is about someone who has nothing. He has no drums. He's loses his job, and he tries to make something out of that. And it's a comedy. It's ridiculous, but it's a powerful message. And then there are link up with Music Cares, which has been really helping people during the last, always, it's been helping musicians for a long time, but particularly during this really hard time when, touring musicians, but also roadies and, people on the sort of not the big marquee names of the business, really struggling to survive either with addiction or just food insecurity or whatever. And so I want to encourage everyone to support MusiCares if you got any spare cash. If you've watched Adventures of Power on Amazon Prime or buy it on Vimeo, where you support MusiCares with your earnings. So watching the movie even for free on Prime is helpful. Do you have any MusiCares stories that you be comfortable sharing, or?
Well, we Mr. Bungle, I believe Mr. Bungle. I believe we released a T-shirt, or maybe it was Dead Cross. I don't remember. Early on in the pandemic, early 2020.
Sorry about that, folks. In Instagram, you guys get to, that was a little backstage excitement. Oh, there's so many comments in the Instagram. Let me just see if, let's keep it going. Okay, so people don't want us to leave.
All right.
Okay, good. Dave, we have grown, so I got to take a picture again. You're still a godfather of drumming. San Antonio, Texas. Anyway, there's just a lot of comments. I'm just switching to my phone for a second. See if there's anything I want to hear about your point of view of the first Dead Cross show at the Casbah.
Ooh, wow. Well,
I'm just reading a comment on the Instagram. We're doing simulcast on Instagram, folks. It's high tech.
Wow, that was brutal. We had just written, I don't know what, 7, 8 songs at the time. And it was exciting. It was one of those gigs where, you know, we knew hell was going to break loose. We just went with it and just went off and played as hard as we could. And, you know, it was a small, sweaty club. And it was a lot of fun, you know, to say the least. Yeah, I mean, there had to have been minimum 200 people, maybe less. It was great.
And that 200 people on that, and yeah, so that was you getting back to your roots, right?
Yeah, that was you know, the bottom of the roller coaster, waiting.
Right, but let's look at Slayer. You know, like when you founded Slayer, you were playing to 12 people probably in your high school.
Slayer played this bar. My mom drove me there. We put my drum set in the back of her car, in the trunk. You know, it was like a 71 Pontiac Ventura. It looked like a Nova. And so we fit the drums in there, and she drove me. I had to have been 16, 17 years old. And there was nobody in the crowd. I think my mom was just sitting on the side somewhere, and there were about 4 or 5 bikers by the pool table, and you heard them scream, you know, "Skinnerd," or, you know, "Hatchet," "Molly Hatchet."
Right. Oh God.
And you know, so yeah, I mean, we've all been there, you know, and it's just it's part of, you know, growing and being a musician.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to. I don't know. Do you go to Cuba? Are you allowed to? Is your family blocked? Like, what's the?
No. I went there in, I believe, might have been 2018.
Oh, okay. That's around the same time I went.
Yeah, 2018. It was early 2018, January. And then I returned in April, May, with Suicidal. Suicidal played a couple shows there.
Oh, really? How was that?
Oh, phenomenal. It was great, man. You know, they don't get that kind of entertainment.
Yeah.
Too often. And when we played there, it was great. You know, you play there for free. Yeah. Because they don't have money to pay, so you just you pay. Thankfully, Mike Muir, he you know, he paid for all the flights and everything, and he fulfilled a dream of mine. And
wow.
was to play in Cuba.
He did that for you.
For himself,
Yeah, but for him, yeah, but I mean, you inspired it.
But yeah, he saw that I had gone there. It might have been January 2018, and shortly after, we had booked 2 shows there.
Where in Cuba did you play?
We played Holguin, which is east. It's a province east of Havana, and then we played Havana.
Someone's saying, can Dave mute his phone? Are you sure? Did you turn the volume down again when we started again?
Volume is down, as well as my volume is down, and the microphone for the actual app is off. There's a line through it. The only thing that's left for me to turn off is this microphone here.
Okay, it's okay. I think our tech is saying that it's working. It's all good. It's all good. Okay.
All right.
We got a red flag, and the flag has dropped. So, yeah, wait, was Santana Cuban? I'm trying to remember. Carlos Santana.
No, he's Mexican.
He's Mexican. Okay, but he had a big Cuban influence in his stuff in the 70s.
Well, he wrote no. Actually, he re-recorded the song by Tito Puente called Oye Como Va. Yeah. Was it Oye Como Va?
Yeah. And then he medleyized that with something else that kind of more psychedelic, I think. I know it's like the mid 70s stuff like Moonflower. I don't know if you ever listened.
That album.
Yeah, okay. So I have a special connection to that record because my mother was dating Bill Graham, the rock music promoter who managed Santana and the Grateful Dead, and some people know who he is.
Yeah.
But she dated him in the 70s and then later dated him again. They actually she died in the helicopter crash with him. So, and Santana played at the funeral. So I have this like very deep connection to him. But also when I was 4, or I think I was 4, they were recording Moonflower, and my mother went to the studio and she described coming back and saying that they had like done like 40 takes because they wanted to live track everything. They didn't want to do cuts, but they had to get the right take, and they would just do take after take after take after take after take. Yeah. And Santana was apparently complaining because Bill Graham was like, we need another take. Because Bill Graham actually grew up, after he escaped the Holocaust as a kid, and he grew up outside New York. His birth as a lover of music was Cuban music. And that's what got him. First, he got into Cuban music. He got into dancing. Then he got into rock and roll. And that's how the whole kind of scene happened.
That's kind of the same path I was on. My parents were obviously listening to Celia Cruz, Tito Puente, Benny Moré, all these, Latin artists. And then all my Cuban friends that my mom and dad would hang out with, and they would obviously have kids, and we'd all get together and just rage in the streets and stuff. And when we would go to these dances and parties, because that's one thing Cubans like to do is party and have a good time, listen to music and loud dance and all that stuff. And everybody was into dance music in the 70s. And I was the only one, amongst the group that was into Zeppelin, Sabbath. I was kind of, familiarizing myself with American culture.
Right, and this is before Fool in the Rain.
Yes. Oh yeah. Because my brother got me into Led Zeppelin 2. He played for me Moby Dick, and also Cream. With Ginger Baker,
my friend, I live half a block from the guy who made the documentary about Ginger Baker and got hit in the head with a cane, like a metal cane by Ginger Baker in Africa.
I hope to be like him when I
Like Ginger? I think it's better that you're a decent human. I mean, Ginger had his good points and his bad points. Let's just say,
of course, yeah.
But yeah, no, I know. Well, you were influenced by a lot of trios. I mean, and Mitch Mitchell and you know, because the guys who could hold it down in a trio were not just giving a backbeat; they were giving the whole. You know, if it was an orchestra, it would be the, you know, the timpani and the cymbals and the triangle and the snare and everything. And the trio guys have that. Stu Copeland has that, you know. And it's cool that those were, I know those people influence you. I read some interviews with you where you talk about that.
There's magic in a trio. I mean, it is the bare bones of a band. You know, you got a bass, because when you're in a trio, the drummer, when the guitar drops out and goes into a lead, you need to pick up that energy and compensate for that drop. So, you know, what I've learned from like Sabbath, Cream, Zeppelin, that you know, you elevate the excitement by, you know, when you go into your ride cymbal. When you go into a lead, and you know, it just elevates the sound, and it's so beautiful. And when a trio captures that energy or that element in their playing, it's beautiful. It's fantastic. Recently, I worked with Dave Grohl, and something, you know, told me to dive into old Nirvana and watch videos. And that was one hell of a trio. When they went off on stage and were jamming and really into the music, you know, they were one tight-ass band, man. They were so good. And for some reason, it never occurred to me, you know, about Nirvana being a trio. I knew it in the back of my mind, but to watch them perform, they really, they captured the beauty of a trio.
Yeah,
really.
For sure. Yeah, I never saw them play live.
No, neither did I. I was this close, but Kurt didn't show up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was gonna see them at the Paradiso in Amsterdam in 1991, and yeah.
He didn't show you was like in bad shape or something?
I was gonna see them play, and then I was leaving on a plane to go home the next day, and I missed them, and they rescheduled for the day that I was leaving. So,
yeah, my great show that I could have missed but didn't was Jane's Addiction at the Stone in San Francisco on Broadway. In front, there was like 20, maybe 25 people there.
That's another treat.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. So if you think of the singer means nothing to you, Dave. Yeah. Nothing.
He's lucky to be there.
What?
He's lucky to be there.
Yeah. Well, in this case, he was barely there, and it wasn't clear that he was going to get on stage. And when they did Pigs in Zen, where he like improvises a kind of rap or song in the middle of it, and in the album, he's like, you know, I know about pain and war and being cold. And in this show, like we're like waiting, what's he gonna say? And he kind of stumbles up the stage and he goes, it's like dun 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 and he goes, anyone see the Dodgers game? And we're like, what is this? Is this the poetry we were waiting for?
No.
But there were 25 people, so it was like, you know, like you remember the Stone. You must remember the Stone, right?
Of course, yeah.
Little club that's long gone, but yeah, I mean, it was a small club and it was mostly empty. And I guess they were already pretty big in LA, so he was probably like wondering why he'd come up to San Francisco and play for 20 people. But I was one of them.
Well, that must have been a great show because
well, my favorite part was how bad his rap was in the middle of that song.
Yeah, that's a great album. Yeah,
it's a great album.
Really good too.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephen Perkins is awesome.
What's that?
Drummer's got a real style of his own. I mean, no one drums like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you doing any work with Apocalyptica anymore, or is that sort of ancient history? Or
no, I haven't seen. I saw them when I was in Europe some time ago at some festival, but we haven't seen each other in a while. So no, I don't anticipate anything in the future. But you never know.
You never know. Apocalypto plus, I don't know, the New York Philharmonic.
Right? Ooh, that's a great idea. No, actually, I was the first drummer they ever performed with. I was doing a drum workshop at like this little festival in Europe, and they were playing a show either the next day or the same day, I can't remember. And they asked me, "Hey, you want to play South of Heaven? Slayer South of Heaven with us?" I was like, "What? Yeah, let's do it." And this was before Phantomus. This was before anybody knew I was into experimenting and trying.
Oh wait, mid '90s? Wasn't it Phantomus like late '90s when that started?
Yeah, late '90s.
So you were with Apocalyptica earlier than that.
So yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So that was, and then after it worked, I think, don't quote me, I'm pretty sure that after they saw that and heard that their cellos and drumming could, actually work, they got their new drummer and it's been nonstop since for them.
Right. Right.
Working drummer, and so it's good.
They got a new drummer who got to be intimidated by the path you carved through that.
He's really good. I really like him. Very nice guy, great drummer, and we've worked together, since he's been in the band, because we did some recordings and he was there, and so yeah, great guy.
And do you see yourself doing any more like art pieces? I know you did like one for Matthew Barney. You do any, and those who don't know, that Matthew Barney is a experimental filmmaker / artist who creates these very long, epic, metaphorical films with strange creatures in them, very strange. He dresses as like the kind of like a satyr from a nightmare. And Dave did an epic drum track for him.
Yeah, it actually, we also did a video. You might be able to find it on YouTube. Matthew Barney, Dave Lombardo. We entered a studio, and he said, I want you to do a drum solo, and we're going to film it. And he had a vocalist there. I can't remember the vocalist's name at the time. And so he wanted to create this really bizarre video in a studio. But he said, I want to bring in bees, actual bees, with a beekeeper, and let them loose in this vocal booth and record the bees around this microphone. So they put the queen bee on the microphone, and then all of a sudden all the bees swarmed around the microphone, and they recorded it. And the musical director for the movie and the video, he sampled the bees on a keyboard and used the bees as like guitar sound, but it was bees,
Wow, that sounds really nightmarish and wonderful.
Very nightmarish. And it's funny, they had the beekeepers, the camera, the camera team. Everybody was in bee suits, and I was in a black T-shirt. I had this crazy wig on, and because I think I had short hair at the time, so they wanted me to look like I was in the '80s, and so they said, okay, well, the beekeeper came into the room. He said, all right, whatever you do, just don't swat at the bees. And I cocked my head like a dog trying to understand what you're saying. I'm like, what? You know? And I said, wait, I don't have a bee suit. And how do the bees not know that I'm not swatting at them? So I thought I was going to get stung, or, you know, but I didn't. The vocalist for Korn, Jonathan Davis, was in the neighboring studio, and a bee got in through the vents and went into the studio and stung his engineer in the neck. So,
fucking perfect. I love that it went up and attacked Korn.
yeah.
Like, wait,
So,
Rod,
but in
does he know that you're to blame for this bee? That you, like, the bee was trying to get away from you?
Probably. I did stung. Nobody in our studio got stung, but Jonathan Davis's engineer did.
Oh, the engineer did.
Yeah, he's engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the singer didn't get stung. Somehow,
No.
like a singer getting stung is funny, an engineer getting stung is I feel bad.
Yeah, right.
Why is that?
I don't know.
You know, because the singers tends to be, you know, a extrovert who's getting a lot of attention, and it's funny to get a big welt on their neck. But an engineer is already kind of hunched over.
Yeah, and they don't have to haul drums around like we do, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, they don't haul any of it. They just haul this.
Yeah. So,
by the way, the Instagram, we have an Instagram live limit of an hour, this is one of the longest interviews ever done. It's really fun talking with you, but in order that our phone people don't get cut off in the middle of a sentence, maybe we'll sort of wrap it up, or we can say goodbye to the Instagram people, because it may just get sliced by the system, but. So let's say well, I'll say the one thing that I would like to say, the most important thing, is that it's an incredible honor talking with you. It's so fun talking with you. You have such a supple mind, and you know, the jokes about drummers drooling out of both sides of their mouths is definitely not true.
I could read some of these comments, you know.
Oh, you're seeing them now?
Well, no, I mean, I can't. My phone's a little far. And
anyway, people. Instagram people are saying don't stop, but we can leave it on. At some point, it's going to cut off in the middle of a sentence, so we don't want you to think we're rude. So we can keep talking until it just cuts off. Okay, ask the questions. People are like, ask the questions we're asking. Okay, I'm scrolling. There's a lot of compliments. I'm looking for question marks. The person who wanted me to ask you something. Oh, anyway, well, in case we get cut off, this is Dave Lombardo. I'm Ari Gold. I directed Adventures of Power, the air drum movie, with Michael McKean from Spinal Tap and Neil Peart, and it's a beautiful, ridiculous comedy you can watch for free on Amazon. And when you do so, money goes to support Music Cares and supporting musicians in need. And you can learn more about that at airdrummer.com. That's my little spiel. And then people are saying, okay, Dave Lombardo movie. Well, I'm talking about movies besides the Matthew Barney thing. And I know you did a little bit of soundtrack work. Are you interested in cinema? That's a question off of Instagram.
I love creating music and to pictures. It really helps, you know, that it sets sets a scene. And I recently composed music for a movie it's called Los Últimos Frikis, which is about a metal band in Cuba, you know, just going through their everyday, you know, strife and, hardships. And, you know, the band, you know, some of the members of the band were arrested and were put in jail for several years, you know, for playing metal music. You know, they were looked down upon. So that was a real treat for me to do, and that's going to be out real soon. I just got word that it's going to be out on, you know, one of the.
What kind of metal were they playing? I mean,
thrash metal. It was
okay.
from like, you know, they
Oh yes, of course, thrash metal.
thrash metal.
Yes.
Thrash metal. Los Frikis. And the band's called Zeus, and it's really cool. I mean, I had a lot of fun doing that, and and I hope to do more. I just helped out with adding drums to Dark Knight Death Metal, DC Comics, you know, cartoon, comic book, this whole comic book series, and they have a soundtrack to it.
And you're composing for it, playing drums, or a combination?
Playing drums for it, yeah. Tyler Bates, a dear friend of mine, he would send me like some drones, some just like a backdrop of music, you know, and then I would create over it, and he would give me the, you know, kind of the synopsis of the story, and I would try to envision that, and then play along to it, and then create my drum patterns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I did that. I worked on Thunder Force this last year in 2020. It's a Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer movie, and that's released. That's on Netflix. I worked with Scott Ian on that.
Oh wow!
And Phil Eisler.
But did you compose music, or what were you?
No, Phil Eisler composed the music, and then he would send us, you know, the stems and kind of the rough tracks, and then we would recreate them and record them in the studio for it.
Wow, that's pretty sweet as a composer to like call in Dave Lombardo and Scott Ian to lay down some tracks.
What was cool was Melissa McCarthy had a Slayer shirt on during the movie, and
okay.
So that was awesome. And
I just did a music video for some punk kids that I met on Venice Beach. Homeless kids who are going to be, or I think this video is going to blow up. I hope it blows up. But they were wearing Dead Kennedys and Suicidal shirts. So I'm like, all right, I got to tell Dave that there's like some Suicidal fans living out of their car, a bunch of black kids actually. And I bring that up because they're like, we have to prove that punk is black. And we're gonna bring black back to punk and punk back to black, and they're like, but anyway, they've got the last shot you see Suicidal written right down one guy's arm. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah,
you know, I love, you know, seeing some of those, you know, like the vests, and you'll see a Slayer patch, you'll see a Testament patch, you'll see you know. Who else? Apocalyptica, and you see all these bands. It's like, I played in that band. I played in that band.
You played in most bands. Let's be honest.
You know,
what bands have you not played in?
Oh, I mean, it's many. You know, but yeah, Misfits as well, and it's just really cool. I'm really proud and happy to be part of such an amazing generation. And it's surreal in a way for me, because I grew up admiring bands like Maiden and you know, Black Sabbath and Judas Priest and you know, so many of these, and even you know Zeppelin and Cream and Jimi Hendrix and all that. And then it seems like now I've kind of like, I'm like part of that kind of cycle, or I'm part of a newer generation of musicians, you know, that are kind of carrying the torch. And it's,
you get awesome. you get to be in multiple generations. It's nice.
Yeah,
because you're still innovating and still branching out in a million directions. I did. Someone's asking, speaking of like one of your branches, I'm just pulling this question, but Grip Incorporated. Favorite record? What's your favorite record from that project? Someone wants to know.
Damn. Power of Inner Strength was great because it was my first record after I left Slayer in '92. You know, the second time I left Slayer, I created this band out of nothing, and you know, chose all the musicians And I discovered the singer who unfortunately passed away in, I believe, 2008. And, you know, it was phenomenal. It was a great time. And Power of Inner Strength, Nemesis was amazing. Solidify, Incorporated, it's those songs were pretty awesome, man. And listening back, they still blow me away, but it really tears into my heart because Gus is not with us. You know, the vocalist, he's not with us anymore. And it would have been great to reunite that band and, you know, do some of the shows and festivals and, you know, today. But yeah, that great band.
Well, you got fans. I got fans here bringing them up, so that's nice. Let me see. I'll pull another question. I don't know how you feel about certain. I mean, do you want to talk about? You can say you don't want to talk about, you know, losing Hanneman.
This is one of the. Geez, next to Gus in Grip Incorporated, Hanneman is another. It was a terrible loss. You know, it's unfortunate. You know how it all happened, and you know, to this day, you know, I miss him. You know, I communicate with his wife, and you know, she knows how I felt about Hanneman and how Hanneman felt about me, and you know, he's just he was an amazing trailblazer. You know, he hardly knew how to play guitar when I first met him, and wrote some of the best Slayer songs that you could have ever imagined, and he's definitely missed.
Yeah. On a more cheerful subject, someone's asking, and I'm wondering if it's Rod Diaz himself. Someone's like, "What was it like working with Rod Diaz?" I'm wondering, like, is that Raw, like pretending to be someone else, being like, "How handsome is Rod Diaz when you're standing next to him?"
You know, Rod is great. He and I joined Suicidal at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Our first rehearsals were, you know, we were the new guys in the band, and he was awesome, man. He's great. He's a great guy to hang out with. Great personality, great player. Yeah, you know, we really connect on stage. There's some sections in Suicidal songs where it's just drums and bass, and man, we lock in. It's just so sweet. We're in the pocket, you know. And with punk music, it's fast, but you know, there's still a pocket. There's still, you know, a groove.
Well, it's and Suicidal Tendencies has always been, you know, had the groove. You know, they're Southern California. They've got a groove a little bit. They're not just like
not just stiff. You know?
I find the mix, you know, the mix of these lyrics, and I know what you talked about, how you're not so much thinking about the lyrics, but with Suicidal, like, you know, they deal with death. They don't deal with death by going into the goth house and putting on the kind of like death thing. Instead, it's like actually talking about death, talking about depression, talking about like being in a really dark place and not hiding in the kind of metal trappings. And there's something so beautiful to me about Mike Muir's lyrics and the way his brutal honesty about the way he's feeling is mixed with this like hardcore fucking, you know, bullet train of energy. To me, it's such a beautiful combination.
It's a reality check. You know, it's very uplifting, you know.
Exactly.
It's a positive message, and it's
because it acknowledges the dark. You can't have the darkness. I mean, you can't have the lightness without actually acknowledging the darkness. Like Bill Cosby was always like the perfect dad to everyone, and like even back when I was a kid, I was like, I don't trust that guy. He was all sunshine. I was like, where's the shadow? Like, there's something missing here. Yeah. So like someone like Mike Muir, like he shows his shadow, and then you know that the spirit is good because he's like, hey, here's the fucking shadow.
You know, I had a conversation. Mike and I got on the phone the other day, and we had a great. I mean, God, we had to have been on the phone for like an hour or so, and you know, he said, I said to him, I said, man, you know, I'm really looking forward to playing again, and you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and he said, and he started laughing. He said, Dave, I hate to disappoint you, but that light at the end of the tunnel is a train coming at you. Like a reality check, you know.
Fucking perfect.
Yeah, and that's
Like
Mike Muir, you know.
Yeah, but
he's a realist, and you know, we may be optimistic, but he knows how to reel you in. It's like, dude, just
yeah. But I mean, I can imagine like there'd be no one if I was on a boat, you know, in the middle of the ocean fighting to survive, like you'd want to have Mike in that boat with you. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never met him. I mentioned this to Rob, but my sister's Nazi skinhead boyfriend in high school was beat up by the members of Suicidal Tendencies at a show in the 80s, which, you know, was all right with me. Well,
the story, Gus Chambers and Grip Incorporated, we played a show out in Detroit, and a bunch of skinheads show up, and you know, they're all doing their Nazi salute and everything. And, you know, he was British, you know, he's English, born, raised, you know, scarred in England, you know, he chased those Nazis out of the club with the bottom of his mic stand, holding his mic stand, and just got off and just went after him. And you see these guys running, and Gus chasing him with the mic stand out the front door. And then coming back and finishing the song. Oh
my God, that's beautiful.
That. My view from my drum stool is the most amazing view. And
yeah, you're like safely protected, and you can see everything.
Not during a suicidal show. I'm not safely protected in a suicidal show. There was one because Mike Muir brings up the audience up on stage, and you know, there's times where, you know, some of these people dancing and jumping around, and there's so many people on stage that some people fall onto the drum set. But there was this one guy that was doing it on purpose, and
like stage diving, but instead of onto people, he was diving into the drum set.
There were a lot of people on stage just like dancing around, and he was acting stupid, you know, and not being respectful of the gear on stage. And he was purposely, but not on purpose, but not on purpose, you know, falling onto my drum kit. And there was one time I just stopped playing and just dove for him. I missed, but you know, that was like the one moment that I lost it, you know. It's like, come on, dude, stop being a jerk.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It's exciting. Miss it. I miss it so much.
Well, when do you do what's your live? What's in your horizon for live playing?
I have 2 shows in Chicago in September with Mr. Bungle. We're playing the Riviera on the 17th, I believe, and then on the 19th or 16th and the 18th. I'm not too sure. And then we're playing. The first date is at the Riviera in Chicago, and then the second date is Riot Fest with Mr. Bungle.
With Mr. Bungle.
And then October, I'm playing Aftershock Festival. Friday, I'm playing with Suicidal, and then Saturday, I'm playing with the Misfits. So
nice. You'll be back. Dave's back.
I have to.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you're still someone's asking, what size snare are you working with? I want to like give someone the technical questions. I'm sure there's plenty more, but that one popped up. What size snare do you use?
Tama 5.5 by 14, hand hammered. bronze snare, I believe. I would have to look
Okay.
it up exactly what it is.
Yeah,
I've been
okay.
using the same one for years. It's gold, and
And you hit it.
you hit it, and it's got these little strings underneath.
Yeah. Yeah, as an air drummer, I tend to play DW air drums, because in Adventures of Power, the only gear you see is the DW stool that someone tries to get me to sit in, but I'm like, I believe that a real air drummer doesn't use a stool, but it is a DW stool. Right. And so I've been kind of buddies with that crew for a bit, but yeah. A sponsored air drummer can do whatever he wants. I'm open to a sponsorship for cymbals. I'm just saying, for air cymbals. You know, if anyone out there has a cymbal company.
Yeah, I think they make those.
Air cymbals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have any new Misfits stuff coming up?
Yes, actually, I'm getting together with Jerry Only next weekend.
To like write or record or.
We're going to do some little miscellaneous recordings, and we're going to go over the set for shits and giggles, and just to get ourselves back into shape and have some fun. So he's going to be down for a week, and I'm really looking forward to that. And so, I mean, we're still a ways away, but it's good, you know, just to get reacquainted,
right.
Or you know,
right.
Like
have you been keeping in shape, you know, in terms of chops? I know it's not the same at playing, you know, at home versus on stage, but
it's not the same. I try, but man, nothing compares to having those guitars, those vocals, just
playing live. I mean, I tell that to actors too. You know, an actor will rehearse a scene in their living room for, you know, however many, if they can rehearse it, learn it's a monologue for, if they work for 12 hours. I'm like, just go out and do it in the street in front of 10 people or in front of whoever's walking by, and those 12 hours, your body and your voice and your mouth will remember more if you're doing it in front of somebody in 1 hour than you would in 12 hours in your room.
Yeah, I could imagine that. Yeah, I mean, and it's a lot of mental work. You know, I believe that a big part of rehearsal is going over it in your mind.
Well, you have now you have a catalog of like so many bands that you play in. My God, it's like you got to be Bob Dylan in terms of like the number of songs.
I know 37 Misfits songs. So Danzig is able to call them out. Hey, I want to do this one. Bam, I have to know it. Instantly. Yeah. My job. And Dead Cross, you know, there's probably 10, 12, maybe 12, 13 songs, maybe plus some covers that we do. And then Mr. Bungle, and then Suicidal.
It's a lot of songs.
But you know what? A lot of that muscle memory, you know, or not muscle memory, that you know, using your brain like that, I believe, you know, helps a lot in, you know, as you get older. You know.
Yeah, that's something I talked about with Neil Peart. When we released Adventures of Power, we were raising money to support music education, and we were talking about the fact that music education for kids helps them with math, helps them with all these other subjects, and the school programs that are getting cut, they're like, oh, we don't need music education. It's like, I mean, it's not about making the next Dave Lombardo, although that can happen. It's about the fact that if you play music, you engage with music, your brain's going to be stronger in everything. It's going to be stronger when you're 90, and it's going to be stronger when you're 9.
Pardon me?
It's going to be, your brain's going to be stronger when you're 90 and when you're 9 if you're playing music.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom, she's 89, and she reads every day, and she's still reading. And although her body is, you know, obviously, you know, she's frail, but her mind is so sharp. You know, she remembers so much and does not suffer from any kind of dementia or anything like that. That, you know, it's there's something there to be said, reading, and I believe listening to music, memorizing music, memorizing patterns. It's I think it's beneficial, long term.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I'm glad to hear you'll be back out in full force. 2 bands in 1 weekend in October.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's a good life.
And then maybe there's something going on in December, but I can't talk about that.
So what? Yeah. Well, okay. So that means there is something going on.
Yeah.
If you can't talk about it, that's a good sign.
Yeah. There's something going on. There's like 4 other albums that I'm going to be releasing. I don't know how soon. I've completed 3, I believe. There's going to be 3 releases that are complete, and then I have 1 that I'm almost done with. So.
And you can't say who they're with.
Can't say it.
Right.
No.
Shania Twain. I know. I just let the cat out of the bag. Shania Twain. Oops.
What, Shania Twain? No.
Oops.
No.
They want, someone's saying people want a Dave solo album with guest musicians. Think about it. If you need a guest air drummer, let me know. Be happy to do a duet with you.
After I saw the movie, there's some potential there, man.
And I've done some live. I did Adventures of Power, but I also done live shows. I played in front of 7,000 people in Finland. I did Hot for Teacher, and in those I did a 60-second cut of Hot for Teacher, all legs in a squat, like double bass, 2 arms. Yeah. Those 60 seconds, my heart was pounding like I had run a marathon. My heart was pounding for 4 hours after that 1 60-second.
Really?
Like there's a joke in the movie that air drumming is a lot harder than air drumming, than real drumming, because you don't have anything to bounce against. So you're using all this strength to like push in both directions.
Yeah.
So, just saying, putting it out there. If you need it, let me know. So maybe we'll wrap up. And let me just scroll to see if there's any emergency questions from fans. There's a lot of hellos from South America, from Argentina and Brazil. I have seen you got a lot of fans in that continent. Yeah. So, and Chile. Yeah, someone just. No, someone's saying no, don't go. Zorn.
Yeah, Zorn.
Yeah. Well, okay. So look, I think we can, even though people seem to be enjoying this, maybe we'll sign off, because this has been a nice long talk. So, what can I say? Follow Dave Lombardo on Instagram if you don't already. I'm Ari Gold. I'm at Ari Gold on Instagram. I'm on the Modern Drummer account right now because Modern Drummer has been co-sponsoring this initiative to talk to drummers, talk about drumming, talk about air drumming and Adventures of Power, and raise awareness of music hairs. So once again, please go to musichairs.org and donate, and watch Adventures of Power on Amazon for free, and Amazon sends me money, and then I send it to Music Hairs. So, and it's a great movie. So says Dave Lombardo. And Neil Peart said, in a word, yeah. In 2 words, fuck yeah. Then again, he's in it, so he had the right to do that. But by the way, did you ever hang out with Neil Peart?
Never. I never met him, and it's a big regret in my life. I really wish I could have, met the guy. He's a genius. He was a genius. He was a trailblazer. His style, his sound. I first heard Rush when they released Moving Pictures, because I was in high school at the time when that album came out, and anything prior to Moving Pictures, I really didn't get into, because I was into Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, punk.
They seemed too prog for you or something.
It was just a little different for me.
Yeah.
And but I appreciated it. I mean, I bought the CD. and I have a compilation, a Rush compilation, and you know, I studied it, listened to what he was doing, and you know, like all drummers, you know, when you listen to something, and when a drummer is very like special and unique, you absorb and you take from that, you know, and he definitely had that that magic, and to you know, go beyond the speakers and, you know, hit the person or the drummer, you know, the upcoming drummer, listening to it and inspire them in one way. And he did it.
Brain massage. His drumming is like brain massage for me.
Weird, you know.
We did a drum off. I don't know if you've seen that. It's not in the movie, but after the movie, which makes a big joke of an air drummer trying to play Tom Sawyer, we did a live. Well, we filmed a performance of me air drumming right next to him, real drumming Tom Sawyer, and I put it on YouTube, and like there were so many people there, like a lot of people loving it, but a lot of people like it was their life dream to do that. And they're like, "Who is this asshole air drumming next to Neil Peart? I should be the one to do that," you know. Because he would joke about. I mean, he'd say like every show he'd look off, and on one side there'd just be like this row of people like doing every single hit.
I bet,
you know, like my character does. But
it's perfect. At least for me, Moving Pictures and Tom Sawyer was the perfect song to air drum. I remember when that was released, you know, there was a bunch of people in high school, a bunch of kids, you know, friends of mine, you know, they had their little boombox, you know, and playing the cassette, or, you know, and everybody,
yeah.
You know, he did it. He that might have been the beginning of air drumming. You know, that might have started that movement.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of air drumming happening to Led Zeppelin for sure. I mean, I like Ramble On, like the kick drum offbeat on Ramble On. I mean, I was air drumming that before I got into Rush, I think.
Yeah, but actually, I think in public, that might have been behind.
In public, yeah, maybe in public.
Everybody wanted to show that, hey, I know this part.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
So I don't know. It's you know, it's a terrible loss. Life sucks, you know, when it comes to mortality.
Yeah.
You know, but
he was a really sweet, amazing, generous person, and so it, you know, influential to me as a person, as an artist. And like when Adventures of Power came out, and like nobody cared because we did this tiny, you know, no money, and it was like, and he was like so encouraging. He was like, "This is you're an artist, and you remind me of when Rush was starting out," and like, you know, it was. He knew what to say exactly at the right time when I was feeling punched in the nose by, like, you know, making a movie and nobody gave a shit, you know. So like,
that's awesome.
He's in Adventure. Actually, if anyone's watching and wants to go to airdrummer.com, we have lots of mentions of Dave Lombardo. You're on multiple pages. We have pages for a bunch of the bands you're in. It's like, because you're in most bands, website's going to get big, but yeah. So, and there's a Neil Peart page as well where I have the videos that I made with him. So people want to watch that, they're there for free. But yeah, he was a beautiful soul. Beautiful soul.
That's what I hear from everyone.
Yeah.
That has, you know.
Yeah, when you hear it from a lot of people, you start to realize it's probably true. And if you hear that somebody's an asshole from a lot of people, it's probably true as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've met some of those too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we will sign off. People are willing to say goodbye. Oh, so fine. Please ask about the new Dead Cross album, please.
Well, we're still waiting. You know, I'm still waiting for Patton to wrap up the vocals. You know, he's got a lot on his plate. He's working on a lot of stuff. So some of these things, they take time.
They take time. Yeah. Okay.
You know, so
patience, folks. Patience.
Patience. Yeah.
Yeah.
In time.
Right. In time. That's the perfect closer for our interview. Is you're air drumming, you're making a little pun.
Yeah.
It's working. All right. So thank you all so much. I can't believe how many of you stayed on for how long this was. And I wish we were all getting a beer, or those who don't have a beer, getting a lemonade. And see you on the road. Go check out Dave's multiple bands. Hard to keep track of them, but catch you. They wanted Dave's. All right. They got it.
I'll be there I'll be in your town one of these days.
Oh, and Love from Russia too.
Ah,
that just came through.
That's pretty far out there. Woo.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So really great talking with you, and catch you somewhere.
Thanks, Ari. Make sure to hit us up if I'm ever in your town. I
will. And I'll send you this punk video because I think you're going to find it super inspiring.
Please. I would love to see it.
Yeah. The singer's name is Yumi So Cute, and she is a badass, and she's a true believer. So
what's the name of the band again?
Yumi well, right now it's just her and her friends. It's basically, her name is Yumi, and she goes by Yumi So Cute. I mean, she doesn't have a following yet, but I'm taking it upon myself to. The video is amazing, so I'm going to be posting it next week on my everything, my Instagram, Ari Gold, and she's putting together one too. Okay. I know it sounds unconvincing, but like I think she's going to be a star.
Awesome.
I believe. Yeah.
I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah.
And this is the video you were working on. You worked on, right?
I shot it in Venice. I was biking down Venice Beach, and I saw her like screaming into a microphone in front of a U-Haul, and I like pulled my bike around, and like there were all these like kids like just going crazy on the parking lot. I mean, not that many, like 20 of them, but their style was like amazing. They were like, had Dead Kennedys, Misfits, and so I stopped and asked what was up, and she gave me her kind of like mission statement of what she was doing, and she'd come out from Texas and some of them from Cleveland, and she was living in her car, and she was trying to bring punk and bring punk to the Black community and bring Black to the punk community was her sort of like what she said.
I love it.
And she's just kind of on fire, and it was backing tracks. It was just a recording. Word to the wise in advance.
Yeah.
But I think she'll have a band soon enough, and
so she's committed. She loves it.
Yeah, just when you see the video, you'll see it's like, sometimes you meet someone, you're like, your eyeballs fall off, and so anyway, I was like, look, I'd love to help you any way I can. Let me make a video for you, and so I'm cutting it right now. I'm just it's cut. I'm just doing the color. I want it to be like look perfect. For it. So yeah.
Well, let me know.
All right, I will. Catch you later. Such a pleasure.
Ari, pleasure talking with you. And hey, folks, remember, music cares. Go on there and help them out. They help musicians. I know many musicians that they've helped during this pandemic, and it's a great organization. And definitely, worth it.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Sorry.
Keep the rock, folks.
Always.
Yeah. Bye. I'll turn off on both systems at the same time.
Right.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you, Dave. I know it's too late for me to learn to play drums. I can still rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to witness the new breed of warrior.
Her legs so white.
Like white tiger.
We felt something today. We need you.
Tonight, we are air drummers. Every one of us.